Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and today we'll be talking about Power Apps mixed reality measurements. So this is the second video of my mixed reality. You remember the one I did before was about the 3D models. Over here in the measurements, we'll only be focusing on the length and the area, and I'll keep the volume for the next video. So over here, I'll show you some demos that I already have, and I'll also go and walk you through what are these controls that are available in the measurements, and we'll actually go and build one app together. But first, here's my intro. So before we look into the demo and the power apps and all these nice controls, I want to spend just a few seconds looking at these slide decks because there's some important terminology that I want to call out over there. So first thing I want you to know is that this is an experimental feature, which means it's not production ready, but I highly recommend you start getting familiar with it because this will take your app to a whole different level. Next, I want to talk about are these controls that you'll see over there, because right now in this video I'm focusing only on two things, which is the length and the wall and the area. I'll save the volume for the next video. And in the length and the area over here, there's actually two different types of things we'll be focusing on. One is the length of an object and the other is the area of an object. So before we go into that, I want you to understand this term that you'll keep hearing, and it's called segment. Now in this exact example that I've put in over here, I've actually have this plank of wood, and I went ahead and did some measurements, and it turns out that there are 4 segments over here. Now as you can see the picture, it actually makes sense because there's 4 sides to this plank of wood, which means there are 4 segments. But it's important that you understand that because it's not just limited to 4 segments, it's basically how you do the measurement. And right now it is very important that you know how many segments you've measured. Therefore, you can get things such as area and volume over there because all of this is calculated by you. And I'll show you that. So it's important. Can I understand what a segment means? Segment is just one section of the measurement. And as you can see in this image over here, I've got 4 segments. Did you get it? It's important that you know that. All right, so now we talk about these attributes that you will see, these, when you do the measurement, and that is measurements and measurement details. So what's the difference? All right, so the measurements is actually just the one first section which will tell you the sum of everything. So remember I just talked about segments, and I remember the image I just showed you over there. Well, in this case, the length under measurements will be the sum of all 4 of those segments over there. That's the length that I'm talking about in the measurements. In addition, you'll also see units. Units is basically what is the measurement values over there. Is it in centimeters, is it in meters, and all the other options that you have available. So that's the measurements piece, all right? Now in the measurements detail, there's a lot more else you can do over there. Now in measurements detail, which is a subsection, there's actually something called distance. And in the distance, you can get the length or the total distance of each segment. So you see why it's so important that you understand the meaning of the term segment over there, because I can now get each and every distance or each and every length of those segments over there. And that is how I'm able to go and do some calculations of area and volume and so on and so forth. Now, direction is also an important thing because the moment you start measuring, it all depends on which direction you're measuring. And I'll show you that in the demo I'm going to do because based on the direction that I'm measuring, that is how I'm able to calculate. Because the moment I'm not following the correct directions, the calculation can actually get a little mistaken over there. And then finally, there is 4 different types of directions because it's a 3D model, right? So there will be the X coordinates, the Y coordinates, and the Z coordinates. And therefore, the direction of each segment is also important over here. So these were the key features, the key terminologies that I want you to kind of get familiar with because now that I'm going to do a demo, it'll make sense to you what I'm actually talking about and what is this distance and direction and what is the segment. So now that you've got your head wrapped around all the terminologies, before we build the app, I want to actually demonstrate an app that I already have there. So let's switch over from this slide deck and we'll go straight into an app that I have. So here's a app that I have. It's already built and ready. I've made it as a mobile app over here on a smartphone, but I can't really test it directly on my laptop because watch what happens. When I do the area and when I use the control, it's going to say mixed reality supported device required. Obviously, I cannot do that on my laptop. So what I've done is I've come up with the next best thing is I'm going to do it on my phone. So let me just switch over to my phone. And here we go. I've got my phone, which is all mirrored over here, and it's ready. So now I've got a plank of wood. In fact, it's the same wood that I showed you in the PowerPoint slide deck over there. And what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to now just record or measure just the length. All right, the first one is just the length. To take it to a next level, I've already got a measuring tape right next to the length, so we can get a ballpark figure of what is the best case of the measurement and how much is it off by. And you'll be pleasantly surprised. But let me not do the talking. Let's actually go and do a measurement. So the first one I'm doing is the length. Coming over here, and there you go. There's the plank of wood. All right. So I'm going to come up over here, and you see the dot that is over there in between. It's best that you start right now to the edges of the dot. So I'm going to come up all the way to the end over here. I'm going to start the measurement. I'm going to go all the way to the other end, and watch my dot. I'm going to keep it all the way out. All right. Now it says it's 1 feet 8 inches. Now if you take a look at the measuring I have over there, the tape actually says that it is about 20 and a half inches over there. That's what the measuring tape shows. All right. So right here, now I'm going to take a picture of this as well. Got a picture. Now I'm going to add it. Oh, not adding it. I'm just going to submit. And in the submit, you can see that the height is 0 because already I'm just doing a length over there. But I've got the length as 19 inches, and I've got the directions of the X and the Y because that's how the direction's going. But it's actually pretty neat how I was able to do that. Now that's just the length piece. All right. Let's go ahead and now do area. I'm clicking on the area. I want to do the measurements, and again the dot comes up. It's best that you let it figure out where the items are. And now I'm going to do the measurement. Do it again. That looks good. I'm going to take a picture of it. I'm going to submit. Now watch what's happened over here. I was able to get the total length. The length is all 4 segments together. That's very important that you understand that. So that's why right here on the top, you can see that the height's 0 because it's only a 2-dimensional one. The total length is all of these 4 combined together. But then I have the area. Now how did I get the area? The area is because when I'm measuring this, I actually have 4 different segments to it. So I got the individual length, which is right here. Therefore, you see, if you can kind of pay close attention to it, it says 57 centimeters. That's the 57 over here. Now, if I scroll this down, you can see that I've got the actual height, or whatever else you want to call it, which is 25. And that 25 is this one over here. Now I'm going back again, and I get another 57. That's this 57. And then as I go up over here, I get a 26. That's because I was moving this a little bit down. That's how I get the 26. But that's a user error. That's how I did it, all right? But that's the beauty, because now I'm able to get 4 different segments as I'm doing this calculation over here. And I use the combination of the length and the width, and I was able to get the area over here. So I got the total length and I got the area. Isn't this cool? I mean, I think this is awesome that not only am I able to build an app with this level of details without a single line of code, but then I can also take the measurements that I'm getting and I can do the information that I want, which is the length, the total length over there, and I was able to get the area as well. So it's kind of important that I showed you this demo, and now that you've seen the demo, let's actually spend some time trying to build this app over here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and now close this because I don't need that. I'll move this aside over here. I am going to, let me also open this up over there. And then here we'll create a Canvas app. And we're going to use a phone layout. In the phone layout, we'll actually just go ahead and build 2 screens, and that's what we'll do. We'll focus on the length and we'll focus on the area, right? So let's just call this one as, the main screen, main, and then I'll duplicate that, 2 copies. Are we going to try 2? And I'll call this as the length, and I'll call this one as the area. But first, I gotta go ahead and turn on that experimental feature. So I'll just call this mixed reality area length demo. Save, advanced settings, go down, experimental feature. So all the way at the bottom, mixed reality features. Go ahead and turn that on, all right? Save. And now we can keep moving forward. So let's do the easy one. Let's do the measure length. So now that I've turned on that experimental feature, you can actually see this functionality over here. And in the measure, this is the one that you want to use, the measure in mixed reality. So I went ahead and dropped this one over here, and I'm going to first rename this to measure. Well, actually, I did it in area. Let's move that. We'll come back to that one. I want to first do length. So I come over here, measure, rename that to measure length in mixed reality. And here I'm going to put in the same thing, measure length, because it gives me the functionality to edit the text. And we've at least got our control. Now it is so awesome that all I have to do is drop this component over here or this control over here, and that takes care of the entire mixed reality piece. I don't have to do any coding. I don't have to get any work done on the back end side. None of that. It's already built into Power Apps, and that is the beauty of this. At least that's what I think so. So next thing, which you already know, is we're going to go ahead and drop a gallery. But in this case, for those segments, we're going to do a gallery in a gallery, and I'm going to show you how, all right? So the first thing I'm doing is I'm coming over here, and I'm going to drop a gallery. And for this gallery, all I need is just one line. So I'm going to select that title one. Don't need any of this. So I'll remove that. And then all I'm going to need basically is just one section. That's why I'm going to take one section of this, or one card, whatever you want to call that. I'm going to expand that all the way. Okay. Let's keep it that for now. Now in here, I'm going to start putting some things in. I'm going to start putting in, what was the unit? Remember, the unit was the measurement. So first thing obviously is, besides that, give this guy a name. I'm going to call this as the length gallery. Give that one a name. And its gallery is going to be, its items is going to be the name of the control you put in, which is measure length. Basically this name, that's the one I'm putting in there. Measure length and dot measurements. I can just put that in over there. Or I can even put in measurements detail. That's the one, measurements detail. So the first one that I've got over here, I'm going to go ahead and give that as a unit, which is perfect because it automatically took that in. But I'll make some texting functions over there so you can see what's going on. So I'll just say unit, and that way when you get some text, you actually see what's going on over there, right? I'll do Control C, Control V, and I want to get some of the other things. I want to get the height. So let me change that over, and I can get the height. It's already built into it. Type that in as a text, and we've got the height. So since this is measuring in length, I'm going to do another Control C, Control V, because if you saw in my demo, the height for just a distance or a length is always going to be 0. But I went ahead and put that in anyway, all right? Length, and I come over here, and the IntelliSense tells me, hey, these are the only options that you have. So I'm going to say path length, right? It's length, but it's called path length over there, right? It's as simple as that. Now, to get those other segments, like the measurement segments for direction X, direction Y, direction Z, I need to actually put in another gallery, a gallery in a gallery. That's basically the trick to this. So I'm going to put in another gallery. Remember, it needs to be inside the gallery over here, okay? So what I'm going to say is length measurements. That's my gallery. I'm going to change that again to just title. Don't need that, so I'm going to take that out, and then I just need one card of this, so I'm going to take that out. In fact, I can make this one a little bigger. It's good. And then take this one down a little bit. Now I can get that down a little bit. Okay, so in here now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add those other things, which is the direction X, direction Y, and the direction Z. But the item, where is this one's item coming from? This one's item is coming from the one that we actually did the top one, the length gallery. That one's segments is what we want to do. And the best way to do that is I come over here and say this item segments. Now this item is the item at the top level, the parent level of the gallery. That parent level of the gallery, what its segments is, those are the ones I want to see inside over here. All right, kind of makes a little bit of confusing sometimes, but it's only when I put the gallery inside a gallery am I able to get all the segments over there. So now, as you can see over here, I can get the direction X and the direction Y and the direction Z. But let's just make this a little bit easier. And I'll say direction X. Then next, I'll copy this, Control C, Control V. Actually, there's actually a little bug right now in the system where when you put gallery inside a gallery, the inside gallery, the inner child gallery, I cannot do copy and paste. I can't do a Control C, Control V. The only workaround I have is you got to select a control inside of that gallery and then do a paste. So it is a bug that they have recorded, and they're going to go ahead and fix that. So for right now, I am just going to replicate what I already have. So that's 20. Let's do that as 20. And do a semi-bold. So got that over here. And then text. And this is going to be direction Y. And this item direction Y. And so the same thing happens for the direction X, Z as well. And I'm able to go ahead and now get that same functionality, direction C. So again, go ahead in here, add another label. Just make sure you click something inside first. That's the only way you can know for sure you're going to get it. It's going to be there internally. And then the same thing, make it 20. That's what I'm going to do. 20. Semi-bold, and the reason I do that is just to maintain consistency. That's all. And there you go, direction Y. Oh, sorry, direction Z. And this item, direction Z. Now, there is also since this is only a length in the child gallery, its length is the exact same as the top length over here. And what I mean is that if I were to come in and let's do one thing. This guy's here. Increase that a little bit. Come on. Oh, man. Sometimes it gets a little confusing getting these a little bigger. Okay. So here, if I go ahead and now add in another label right here, and if I just call this one as length, and I say this item, it's actually IntelliSense does a fantastic job. So this length over here will be the exact length as I have on the one on the top, because it's the measurement itself is only length. So kind of keep that in mind over there. All right. So that is the easy part. Now you've seen how I was able to build the length piece over here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then let's move forward with building the area, because in the area there's a lot more fun things I can do over there. There's some nice calculations I can do as well, but let me show you that. So we've come to the measure in over here. Remember, I went ahead and dropped that control. It is the exact measure control that I have over here. So let me just go ahead and make this a little bit smaller, bigger. Okay, in fact, what I should do to make it easier, and you can do that as well, let's just duplicate this one. That makes it easier, because the most of the heavy work is already done. come over here and I'm just going to change it from measure type distance to measure type area. In fact, that's something I missed on the top one. So let me go back and show you that. Once I went ahead and added the control in the measurements over here, you can change the unit of measurement. So we're actually going to do it as inches because that's what I did in the demo over there. And then here, the default was distance. So I just kept it as distance. Therefore, I called it just as length over here because that's what it is. But you can change that to distance. Now, since we did a copy and paste on the area, I'm going to obviously change the text to area, but I'm also coming to the measurement type and I'm going to change the type to area. See, click on it, change it to area. And over here again, I'll go ahead and add it 2 inches. You can see that there are quite a few options though. You've got inches, centimeters, feet, meters. You've got quite a few options over there. All right. Now, in the gallery, I'm going to go ahead and actually change some names, gallery names. This is area. But what I got to do is I got to make sure I've got the correct measurement name too. And I love this thing about Power Apps is when you do copy and paste, Power Apps is smart enough to know that, hey, this is a copy of another screen. And that screen I just copied from, the gallery and all its controls in there was actually only referencing its mixed reality component, which is inside that gallery. So when I do a copy, I'm not going to reference the original one I copied from. I'm just going to go ahead and reference the same one which is in me right now. I love this intelligence which is built into Power Apps because it's smart, right? It knows that Daniel just went ahead and copied it, so it's best that we just see the measurements which is in there. So I just love it, and major kudos to the product team for kind of, making this a little bit easier for us. So I'm going to do the measure, and I'm going to change the area to length, and I'm change the length to area. And that's that. Now, what I'm going to change is basically everything over here remains the same. But what I'll do is I'm going to give it some different names, all right? Because in here, I'm going to call it as the total length. Because if you remember in the demo I did, in the demo, it was the total length because it was that wooden plank, right? And I went ahead and I went ahead and measured from this way, down, this way, and up. So I did 4 different segments I was measuring over here, and therefore it's the total length. And that's why now you get this on the top level, on the parent area over here, the path length is actually the full length of all those 4 segments combined over here. In this section over here, in the child gallery over here, what we have is, now for each and every segment, I'm going to go ahead and get the length for that. So this length, I'm going to call that as individual length. And the individual length gives me the information of each and every segment. So that's why it's so important that you understand the meaning of these segments over there. When you come into this mixed reality world with playing with these measurements, you need to understand the fundamentals of what a segment is, what is this direction X, Y over there, and the length and everything. Just kind of get that terminology. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. And if you're like me, start building the apps. And when you build the apps, you'll understand what that means. So all in all, that takes care of getting the length. But then, Daniel, how do I get the area? Now, what is area? Area for this rectangle, wooden plank that I had was just length times breadth. But there is no built-in functionality in mixed reality to go ahead and automatically calculate the area or automatically calculate the volume. In fact, I've actually submitted an idea for that in the Power community, and I've put the link to that idea in the description. And if you go and vote on it and give as many votes as possible, you will definitely catch the product group's attention on that. So go ahead and submit that vote, because I know that they are listening. These guys are good. They are listening. And right now, I'm showing you the way to do the calculation for the area. But if it's a built-in functionality, like a built-in feature over there, calculation formula, then that would be great. But for the time being, I am going to now just copy the length. I just did a Control-C, Control-V, and I'm going to change this to area. All right. And I'm going to show you how we have the area. Now let me just come back to that original slide deck over here, because it's best that I explain that to you. Go back here. So if you remember, when I was doing the segment and the demo I showed you, I took a picture of that. I went this way, I went that way, I went here, and then I went up. So does that kind of make sense? Are you already, saying, oh, I know what Daniel's doing. What he's going to do is he's going to take the first segment and he's going to take the last segment and he's going to multiply the two. That is what gives him the area. And for some of you guys who I know the wheels are already turning, you've already even figured out, oh, I know exactly what Daniel's going to do. He's going to use the first function and the last function because that's the way he's already got the segments over there. And you're exactly right. That is exactly what I'm going to do over here. So let's jump back into the demo and I'll show you that. So in the calculation specifically for the area, here's how I'm going to get the formula. I don't have a formula for, like I said, I don't have anything for, area. All I have are this lengths over here. So check this out. I'm going to now go ahead and say, just like I showed you, I'm going to get the first and I'm going to get the last. But it's kind of important how you put that syntax in. So here's what it is. I'm going to do first. And first I am getting the area measurements gallery, which is this one. Because if you already noticed it, since there are 4 segments, in the second gallery, there'll actually be 4 different items. And remember, I showed you that in the demo. So let me go ahead and now show you that in the area assembly, area measurement gallery, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to do all items. I'm going to close the bracket. I'm going to say only get the length. Remember, this length is this one on the top. It's the first one. This is also why it is very important that right now, when you're measuring it, you've got to go this way. It's just like when you're reading in English, when we are typing in, we type in from left to right, from top to bottom. And that's exactly how you want to measure it too. You want to measure it from left to right, top to bottom. That's how you do it. See over here, that's how I started the measurement. I started from left, went all the way to the right, and then from top to bottom, and then I reversed it back again. That's how the measurement should be done. Because right now, without the functionality of area available out of the box, since you are doing the measurement, the formula by yourself, it is absolutely imperative that you do this measurements over there, okay? But remember, go vote. That way they can actually go ahead and build that in for us. Come on. Yep. So the formula then continues is I went and got the first one. So you know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go ahead and now get the last one. Now in the last one, same thing. Area measurements gallery dot all items. But from the all items, I'm only getting the last one. And then from this one, I'm just getting the length. Now by default, it already shows that it is 0, but that's fine because there's right now no measurements whatsoever. So it shows 0, but that's perfect. That means that I'm actually already in the right direction. I've got the length and the height or length and the breadth, whatever you call it, but I've got the area. This is how the formula is. Once again, I'm putting in, the way I'm doing the measurements for each of those sections over there. I've got to go ahead and get the correct, way that I'm doing the measurements from left to right, and then all the way from top to bottom. And the first and the last gives me the length and the breadth that I need, and I'm able to get that formula. So it works really well. And now that you've seen me build it, let's go back and let me show you that demo once again, because that will really resonate in your mind. All right. So let me jump back into that. So you got my my screen. Here's the app. There's the one that we built again. Now let's go ahead and test it. First test is the area. Remember how we built the app? That's the exact same thing I've done over here. I'm coming in, measuring in. See, I went ahead and got the measurements over there, which is perfect because the measuring tape shows it's about 2.5, give or take. And this one measurement shows about 2.6. So there is some error margin over there, but that error margin could be me as a user using it over there. But now we got the length, and as you can see, the height which we went and added is 0 because it's only 2-dimensional, but the length was the perfect one. And in this case, the X, Y, and Z was basically where we started over there. Now let's do the area one. So I'm going to go back home. I'm going to go to the area one over here, and I'm going to start the measurement. Now does it make sense that I've actually got to start on the top and then on top left and work my way to the right? That, clockwise is very important over here. So once again, you can see how I got the total length. The length is for all the sections together. That's how I've gotten the length over there. And then, sorry, all the segments together. That's how I've gotten the length. But now, since I did the area, I've actually got 4 segments. And as you can see over here, the first segment is the length. And this one's 52 is the same one as that length over there. And then the one on the bottom is length 22. This 22 is actually just coming down. Then the next one is also 52, but that's me going back. And then over here, I go up again, which is the last segment, and that was again 22. So what I did was I did 52 times 22, which is, remember what we just did in the formula, and I got the 1144, but I also have the entire length over here, the sum of all the segments, and I got that 144. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Now you understand that how this whole mixed reality measurements work, and I showed you the length and I showed you the area over here. Again, this is an experimental mode, but I really wanted to start looking into this. I personally wanted to play with it to see what is this whole mixed reality about. And I already see a whole potential of these places in different mechanical, industrial places where this could be so handy to use. And now you actually know that, hey, when this thing, especially when it goes into preview, because right now it's experimental, when it goes into preview, you can start playing with it really over there. And hey, by the time it's in production, you'll already be familiar with. So once again, hopefully this was helpful. And and by the way, before I forget, make sure you go and vote. I've put the link at the URL over there. Go vote so that it automatically has a built-in feature to do the area and the volume. Don't forget to do that. But as always, keep power apping.